Did you watch a ton of gym videos lately? Listen to people talk about weight training and dabbled with the idea of trying it yourself? But you're kind of overwhelmed with all the content out there and you don't know where to start? This is the right video for you because in the past 4 months I went through Jeff Nippard's Fundamentals Hypertrophy program and I'm going to tell you everything about it. Like what it's like to train with the workouts, how the program is designed, what I liked and disliked about it, my results, and of course, whether it's the right program for you. Let's get into it. As you may know, I have a few years of bodyweight training experience, but I've never really been to the gym. So as winter turned around and we looked at weight training in college, I thought, why not give it a shot? I chose to get my feet wet with a program from Jeff Nippard because he has the most scientific approach to weight training from all the fitness influencers I know of. On his website, there are a bunch of different programs to choose from, but if you are a beginner in the gym, there's really only one. Although, you'll quickly realize that in his Fundamentals Hypertrophy program, there are 3 separate 8-week programs included. I'm only going to review 2 of them because the third one has you in the gym 5 days a week. For me, that's on the brink of impossible with the additional 9 hours of sports I do in my studies per week. And beyond that, it's just a big time commitment, so I will not run the body part split anytime soon. When you purchase the program, you'll receive an email with 2 documents. One is a 104-page long PDF stuffed with information about weight training science. Though almost half of that is the actual training program you'll also get as an Excel file. The other half contains information about lifting terminology, functional anatomy, an FAQ, a warm-up, exercise substitutions, explanations about the program, and exercise video tutorials. Reading it helped me a lot to understand why the program is designed as it is. And it barely took me more than half an hour, so it's a great starting point. The second document you'll be emailed is an Excel file containing 3 spreadsheets, one for each 8-week program. You put this on your phone and use it as a notebook for your workouts. In it, you'll find each workout day with all the exercises for that day, the amount of sets you do, which is always 3 for the upper, lower, and the full body program, the amount of repetitions you do in each set, the rate of perceived exertion, so how close to failure you should take the set, the amount of rest you should take, and a brief technical hint for each exercise. The only thing you have to type in yourself is the load, so the amount of kilograms or pounds you'll use for every exercise. You can copy and modify these numbers week to week to track your progress accurately. In all 3 training splits, the exercises stay the same for a mesocycle of 4 weeks and then change for the second mesocycle of 4 weeks. If you watch Jeff's YouTube videos, you can probably imagine how his training plans are structured. They mostly adhere to the training principles he has explained on his channel, like progressive overload, antagonistic training, or recommendations regarding rep ranges, volume, intensity, or frequency. The workouts always start with compound movements and end with isolation exercises, so there's nothing really unique or exclusive. If you are a longtime viewer of his videos, you may be able to create a similar plan yourself. And you should be familiar with most topics in his extensive PDF. The only 2 things that were new to me as a bodyweight athlete were the names of the exercises and the correct execution. In my first 2 to 3 weeks, I was constantly looking up exercises and watching tutorials on how to perform them. If you're also a newbie at the gym, I highly recommend you either go lifting with an experienced friend or a personal trainer. If you don't consider this an option, at least film yourself on most, especially the compound exercises. I was surprised to find how far that bar was away from my shins when I deadlifted. And that's a perfect segue to get into what I liked about the program. It's awesome to get into weightlifting terminology. You'll learn all the commonly used industry expressions and abbreviations about weight training. And it wasn't even a hustle. It's a very natural learning process that happens by the way, so I'm finally able to understand and talk to my gym friends like I'm actually part of this community. The next thing I appreciated is that no equipment is needed. For my last calisthenics program, I bought a pair of rings, some chalk, and a yoga mat. For weight training, you just put on your sport clothes, grab a towel, and you're good to go. All the equipment is provided by the gym, for which you pay $400 to $1,000 per year. Moving on, I love the little hints on form or mind-muscle connection next to the rep count on every exercise. Especially as a beginner, it can get quite tiring to watch tutorial after tutorial. So it's awesome to read a quick hint that serves as a reminder on how to execute the lift. Lastly, I love the antagonistic training approach where you always work opposing muscles after each other. Here, for example, the bench press works your chest and triceps, and the lat pull down works your back and biceps. By the time you continue with cable flies, your chest had at least 5 to 10 minutes of rest and is well recovered to perform at its full capacity again. Especially for beginners, it's a very safe way to train because it's a lot less taxing on your tendons and ligaments in contrast to working the same muscle for several exercises after each other. In general, the program is very well put together. Jeff has made a very effective and time-efficient program that makes the most out of your time in a gym. There are just a handful of details I can't quite understand or don't agree with, which leads me to the things I didn't like about the program. A few body parts just don't get enough volume. In his own PDF, he quotes how 10 to 15 sets per body part per week is a good range to maximize hypertrophy in beginners. But neither the abs nor the calves receive nearly enough volume in any of the three programs. In the upper-lower split, for example, the abs are only trained with 6 sets a week. Calves only for 3 sets a week. 3 instead of 10 to 15. As far as I can tell, this is not due to some complicated training organization. Jeff could have just added one more calf exercise with 3 sets at the end of each lower body day. And if that would have been too many exercises per workout, he could have just swapped 1 or 2 of the glute exercises, which, as is now, receive 15 sets per week. So in my opinion, that's a bit of a suboptimal distribution he made. Also, I don't always understand the amount of reps he suggests. The most optimal, or at least practical range for hypertrophy is 6 to 15 reps, as we all know. He never goes higher than that, and for some exercises, the suggested rep count is totally logical to me. With dumbbell curls, for example, picking a weight which only allows me to complete 6 reps would result in terrible form breakdown for me. On the other hand, doing 15 reps on the deadlift going close to failure would be excruciating. But why would I do 12 reps of hip thrusts instead of, say, 6? Or 5 reps on the bench press instead of, say, 10? On the more severe end of the spectrum, he suggests doing 3 reps on the deadlift, which mainly works the hamstrings, glutes, and spinal erectors, while doing 8 reps of hip thrusts for the glutes and 12 reps of leg curls for the hamstrings. This blends different ways of training towards different kind of goals, so your body doesn't really know what to respond to and how to adapt. Should it improve neuromuscular connection or increase muscle fiber size? In the PDF, Jeff provides no explanation on why he combines rep ranges like this. As far as my understanding goes, this is just bad programming. Another major issue I found are the tutorials. Some of them are excellent, top-notch in the industry. For example, for the calves, there are 2 entire videos of 8 and 12 minutes explaining absolutely everything about calf training. But for a bunch of other exercises, there's just a very brief exercise demonstration without any commentary. Let's check out the lying leg curl. Same for the hammer curl. Or what about the single arm rope triceps extension?
I think it's best to hit the triceps with the shoulder in various positions to optimize overall development of all 3 heads, and as always, you're going to want to keep.
He just shows the exercise for 2 reps. No comments about technique, nothing. What the hell? How should anyone, let alone a beginner, learn anything from this? For a few exercises, Jeff should definitely make up with a few legitimate tutorials. Alternatively, he could just link to high-quality tutorials from other YouTubers. To me, that would be totally fine, but as it is now, some videos are just useless. An even bigger disappointment were the replacement exercises. For many of them, like the hack squat, dumbbell bench press fly or triceps kickback, there are just no tutorials at all. So again, you have to find high-quality videos from other YouTubers yourself, which as a beginner is quite hard to judge. The last major thing I want you to consider is that training in a gym can be much more of an arduous hassle than working out outdoors. Sometimes a COVID wave hits and gyms are closed altogether. Sometimes you return from work or studies late and your gym is already closed. Sometimes the squat rack or machine you need is occupied and you'll have to wait or be willing to mess up the sequence of your workout. Sometimes you're in another city and have a hard time accessing a gym, and besides the aforementioned cost of $30 to $100 per month, it's just much more laborious to commute from home to your gym every time, instead of just finding the next bar closest to your home and working out without any constraints. And then there are a bunch of small things I was bothered by or didn't quite agree with. Like the rep scale that seemed off in a few instances. Why would I take a set of cable crunches to only 3 reps shy of failure if I only train abs twice a week and only for 6 total sets? The same goes for rest times. 1 to 2 minutes of rest for weighted dips is definitely too short to recover, so that I always had to drop the weight significantly throughout the sets. Admittedly though, on most exercises the parameters are matched harmoniously. What's more, there's not a word mentioned about stretching, and I think a short paragraph about the most fundamental recommendation would have been appropriate to include. Likewise, there's absolutely no indication on how to find an appropriate weight if you've never done that lift before. I was just randomly trying out and ramping up the plates and dumbbells according to my gut feeling. And maybe that's totally fine. But again, I feel like he should have given a basic orientation for all beginners who bought the program. Lastly, the replacement exercises in the PDF are 50 pages above the exercise tutorial links, so I find myself constantly scrolling up and down in the first few weeks. It would have been much more convenient if they were right below each other. Enough of the complaining, let's get to my results. I took a quick 360 video of myself before starting the program, right after completing the 8-week upper-lower split, and after another 8 weeks when I finished the full body program. Additionally, I measured the circumference of all major body parts, but saw all kinds of different results, as you can see in my notes. Finally, to whom do I recommend this program? If you are an absolute beginner to strength training, if you've never tried lifting, bodyweight training, or anything similar, I can imagine this program could overwhelm you. Therefore, I suggest you find yourself a personal trainer in your local gym, or perhaps a competent friend to train outdoors with your bodyweight to build yourself a solid foundation. Additionally, I advise you to start watching YouTube videos about strength training to acquire some basic knowledge about it. The more you learn, the more dots you can connect, the more sense everything will make, and the more compelling working out becomes. As soon as you've gained a bit of experience and understanding about working out, perhaps after a few months, this Fundamentals Hypertrophy program can boost your progress. You will learn a ton about training principles, increase your strength and muscle size, and if you're mindful, develop great form on a wide variety of lifts. Given that you make a few small changes, like adjusting the RPE scale, I'm confident that this program totally suits intermediate and even advanced trainees with up to maybe 5 years of experience. Alright, I hope you found this review helpful. If you have any questions, leave them right below that like button in the comments, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.